so they don't migrate, because our sludge monofill is unlined, and a good portion of it throughout the year exists within the water table. We have on-site monitoring wells that we monitor yearly, and there's been no indication in well over a decade of any migration of PCBs down towards the Otter River. Something we're very sensitive about because we border it. Very good questions.
You all set, Sue?
Can I follow up with one?
One more.
I'm sorry.
One more.
I just want to make a statement when I hear PCBs. Sorry, I grew up, everybody's heard of help me out.
Nyanza.
Nyanza in Ashland, okay, that's all I'm gonna say.
Certainly.
Sir?
My understanding of PVCs is a cancer-causing agent.
He's the,
Go ahead.
I was just raising my hand.
I didn't know if Kent was going to say anything.
Well, I do know that because I worked for a company, WR Grace, where they had that problem down in Acton. So I'm well aware of how that works. And PVC is not a good thing.
No, it's a terrible thing.
Once you disturb it, it even becomes a more problem.
Right.
So if you're gonna move from one site to another site in Baldwinville, you're defeating your purpose, because it's always gonna be there, and somehow it will get to the water. Well, that's the problem, once you
Go
start
ahead.
moving things around.
So, from my understanding, you're gonna move it from one spot and put it towards near the treatment center?
The lagoon where the PCBs that we're discussing right now is part of the old wastewater treatment plant. The current wastewater treatment plant is, because we went from a huge wastewater treatment plant that was designed to service the paper mill, and when we upgraded a few years ago, we downsized, so now the current process is just 1/5 the size of what the process was before, basically 1/5 the size. The big lagoon that was the heart of the old process isn't used anymore. These are solids that had accumulated over the decades in the bottom of it. And what we want to do is take those solids and move them up into the repository that we have, which is the sludge monofill, which has existed since day one. Basically, it's all on one site. It's all contained within the same fence. We have about a 40-acre site. The landfill comprises around 16 acres, give or take, and the rest of the grounds is the balance of the facility.
So who guarantees that there's gonna be no leakage? Who would guarantee the citizens of Templeton that there would be no leakage in the soil?
Well, one of the options, if the townspeople, if the engineers, I mean, hopefully you go by the engineer's recommendation along with your own knowledge. I mean, it's in our backyard. If we wanted to, we could encapsulate it where it sits right now in the lagoon, which is clay lined, okay? But if we do that, then the only thing this broad expanse of area is going to be useful for, without it being removed, is for a parking lot. Storage on top of it, where if we remove it, we're talking maybe 300 yards at the most to the sludge landfill, which already contains PCBs at the same concentration. Then we'd have what's just under a 6-acre site for future expansion, for anything really. It's beautiful. It borders the Otter River. And
Right, I understand that, but if there's no guarantee of no leakage, and you're gonna plant something on top of that that's beautiful, it doesn't make it so beautiful.
there's not going to be anything planted on top of the PCBs. I mean, if they're moved to the sludge monofill, it'll.
You take it out, you move it, and then it's like air. Once you air that, as you would in cancer in a body, it will metastasize quickly into the soil. So if you don't get all of that from your engineers that are getting paid money, and you plant something on top of that other than a parking lot, like a playground, what is gonna happen, or a school, what happens if there is, so per se, I'm gonna say biology, per se, there are cells left in there, and it metastasizes, what's gonna happen to the citizens and the health of Templeton.
Well, we're not talking a living entity for one thing, we're talking an innate molecule. And all I can tell you is from the chemistry that we know today, once it's removed from the lagoon and placed in the landfill, the lagoon substrate will be tested for any incidents of PCBs, anything that's left. In fact, one of the mandates that DEP has is that when we remove it, that we don't disturb the foot of clay, which is the liner. So they can come in and they can first visually assess that that liner has retained its integrity, and which gives them assurance that there hasn't been any PCB migration underneath it. And then they will also test the soil underneath it as part of the whole process. I mean, if you're asking for a blanket guarantee against any possibility, no one on the face of the earth that I know of can give you that.
Well, the soil is like a tissue, and it will hold living things. So just so that you know,
Okay.
I'm done with that, thank you very much.
Virginia, and then I think Julie second, Sue third.
I got one follow-up question.
Yeah, after.
All right, first of all, in there, when they give you your plan and tell you what you're gonna do, they're most probably going to make you line it anyway before you put it out there. However, PCBs, you're exactly right. PCBs do not migrate into the water, down into the soil. They tend to stay in one place. So,
Julie?
Yeah, I believe the costs incurred by the town for the downsizing of the treatment plant were originally provided for in the original contract with Irving Paper Mills, as was the lagoon decommissioning and the covering of the landfill, eventually when that closed. Those costs should not be borne by the town. They were in the original contract. It was foreseen that maybe the paper mill might leave, that there may be a downsizing of the plant itself, which has happened. The taxpayers in Templeton have been paying for this downsizing, a $6 million project. They should not have had to pay a penny. The same thing is happening with this lagoon decommissioning. We should not be paying a penny.
Okay, you all set? Sue?
I just had a question. I mean, where do these PCBs come from? Obviously, we're not all flushing them. I mean, how did they end up down in the lagoon?
There was a period of a few years, 2 or 3 years, hasn't been ascertained exactly, when the paper mill was reworking non-carbon paper. This non-carbon paper is known to have had PCBs in it.
What paper mill?
Well, it started as Baldwinville Products, and then Irving bought it and operated as Baldwinville Products. The paper mill across the river from Wayside live.
Okay, so why then wasn't something done against these companies when it, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but
Why
it
we
was,
as the
it
taxpayers?
was years before I came on board, so I can't answer it.
Yeah,
It was in the 80s.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Just want to remind the people that, you know, and I'm not insulting anybody's intelligence out there, but I want the people to understand, once you move something, look at what happened to the town of Woburn. Many, many people died of cancer over there when they started in that, around that industrial area. When you start moving stuff out, and you get, that will leak into the water. There's just no guarantee that when you start digging how far down you're gonna go before you hit that clay. And if you hit that, underneath that clay, and it hits that aquifer, it'll take a few years to get in there, but it will go. And it, depending upon which way the water is flowing from, whether it's flowing north to south or east to west, depending upon how it flows, is the people that are gonna get it.
Yep.
And they had a big thing in moving about that.
Okay.
And I think everybody in here heard it on the TV, so you want to be real careful.
Thank you.
Playing with CBCs,
Please,
TVC.
please. Chris?
I'm not sure, I don't want to speak for Kent, but I think that's why they're fighting with the EPA not to have to move it to begin with. because they don't think it needs to be moved. It's safer where it is, and that's why they don't want to move it.
That's basically what I'm saying.
It's the state that's telling us right now, and that's why he's fighting it,
So,
correct? Sort of?
Actually, it's a matter of opinion as whether or not it should be moved to the sludge landfill or encapsulated in place. If it was the wishes of the town, and that's something that, it's a gray area, and it's a matter of opinion. Like I say, there's 6 acres out there that could possibly used for some town purpose. I mean, I would never advocate putting a playground there, it's a very valid point, but there's plenty of other uses that the town could come up with besides, you know, having children playing on top of it. Wouldn't advocate selling it for residential properties, but for other municipal uses, I'm sure there's myriad of them if we sat and thought. So if we encapsulate it in place, took the safest route, maybe it's the cheapest route, and that'll motivate things, that's a decision for the people at large. I mean, the elected officials can make recommendations, just like I make recommendations to them, but I think ultimately, it's everyone's community, and it's nice if everyone's aware of what's going on and has input.
Right.
We all have to live with the
That's a town
consequences.
meeting thing.
yeah, okay. Ken, you get anything else on this? You and Virginia?
No, just answering questions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll get with you. I don't want
yeah, 'cause I
find
don't know
out
how to
what you're doing.
contact you, so if you'd contact me, that'd be great.
And then we can talk further at future meetings.
Certainly.
How to proceed, if we get more answers.
Could be.
All right, you're gonna go her, that one, and then Kevin, you, and then we're gonna move, they got some other stuff to talk.
Okay, Chair and Board, I feel, knowing a little bit about it, and some citizens that do, maybe it would be wise if you educated a little bit of the citizens, whether it be the newspaper, some type of an informational category on this type of a chemical that is in this soil. I don't really think a majority of the citizens know what it is. So I think maybe a little bit of education to the citizens might make them to be able to make a wiser decision.
Okay, thank you. Kevin?
I'm just a little confused here. So the monies to be spent on whatever ends up happening is from the sewer commission's account, let's call it.
That's determined by town meeting vote. I
Okay,
can't
so
speak to
it's
that.
taxpayer money in the end, or sewer users' money.
In the past, projects have been paid either by sewer user charges, by betterments, and by taxation also. So sometimes it's been a mix of it,
Combination of both.
and it depends on how the town, how you folks go to town meeting.
Okay, so, but what I understood from what Ms. Farrell said, that at some point when, I'm fairly new to town, so when this place was built, there was a contingency that the paper mill would pay for this kind of thing to be taken care of. At one point, that was the case, yeah?
There is at least one clause in the contract that does talk about that, if not more than one.
So then why does it need to come back to us to pay for it?
Well, we all better get sleeping bags and get comfortable, because I think that dock would take forever.
Virginia?
The company
There's
is
a lot of history.
bankrupt. The company is bankrupt. We've been to court with
Yeah.
them and on,
That's a discussion,
There's no way of getting any money out of them at all.
that's a discussion for another time. We're just
I-
here on the
I-
update, right, we're just on the update.
My phone number's in the book in the wastewater treatment plant to somebody. No, seriously, if you'd like to know.
I would.
I mean, I'd love to inform you. The lady over here said the more people know, the better, you know, to make informed decisions. And, you know, it's complicated, but the only way to learn is to start. So I invite you to give me a call.
I just understand that we have such a budget crunch right now. If there's any way to get any money that it doesn't come out of our pockets, but out of the people that says it would come out of their pockets.
Believe me, I wish I was here telling you that this project was gonna turn money back to the town. The seat would be a little cooler.
Excuse me, is this related to the update on the lagoon itself?
Who's our
We're
town
getting-
council at the time?
No, we're not getting into that discussion right now. It's just an update on the
I'm just
lagoon.
saying, why should we be stuck with the money to do this?
We don't, they're,
I got a simple question. Who was our town council at the time? Can you answer that question?
it was before, it was way
Come on,
back.
Bob.
It was what, 30 years ago or whenever?
You've been.
I believe when the
all your life.
contract was signed, it was my, two of my best friends' father, Thomas Leo McLaughlin II.
Town
Back the
council?
original contract, yes.
Yeah.
Back in 1976.
When they signed the two mills over, I believe it was Copeland and Page.
Copeland and Page. So why ain't they doing anything for us?
Yeah.
Why should we get hung with
We
this?
went to court a long time ago.
This-
We were
this
told
And there are
there's nothing
town
there.
attorneys now?
This is
You
just
gotta be kidding.
another time. Did you have something, sir? Then we're gonna move on. All right,
Sign
Kenny,
the
do
back
you
over
have
there?
I
any?
did have a- I
You
did
have
have
any-
a
anything
last
else?
question.
Handle himself.
Okay, when you and Virginia are ready, you know, you get some
Yeah,
answers,
Sure,
you come back.
love to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I did have one question.
Yeah, what about the payment?
Is it regards to the
It's a-
update?
yes, it's the-
Would you mind answering this gentleman's last question?
Now,
A question, when the EPA tested that lagoon? Or did
No, we did.
You did?
But actually, EPA tested the sludge landfill, though.
Okay, but the stuff I'm talking about, the PCBs,
Right.
you had a private outfit come in and do that, or you guys just did that?
We had a private outfit come in and not only sample, but analyze the samples.
Was there any toluene or acetone or any of that stuff that might be in there?
Not really. We found, you usually find some petroleum, low volatile petroleum byproducts, but there was nothing out of the ordinary except for the PCBs, which we knew were going to be found there, and what they call TPHs, total petroleum hydrocarbons, and that's what I referred to earlier, that they had said we have to take it off-site because total petroleum hydrocarbons is a very broad range of compounds. Looking at it more closely, we found out that the ones that had spiked that particular reading up were non-hazardous.
Because I know from experience that paper mills are known to use a lot of volatile things for cleaning. So I'm sure somewhere in the mix, there's some of that stuff in there.
We've tested we did a very wide spectrum of compounds, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. This stuff, even though there's no 100% assurance, we're not breaking new ground here. These kind of projects have been going on since people first found out that PCBs were very bad things, cause cancer. So no one takes it lightly in how you go about properly dealing with them. And no matter which way we go forward, whether we encapsulate, we haul off-site, we haul to the sludge monofill, we're going to jump through every hoop and jump over every hurdle. We'll have an order of conditions from DEP and from our local conservation committee, or hay bale and silt fence, and everything will be done. Yeah, everything will be done as properly as we can do it by today's standards.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, we're not going to lower taxes?
Lower taxes, yeah.
Oh, that's why I asked you.
Do you want to talk? Pilot?
Well, I don't know what the hell is it.
So we don't have,
Payment to
we don't have,
nothing.
we have no information, so.
Other than a statement you
The other agenda item that we were on for was pilot payment in lieu of taxes. Last year, the sewer department paid $50,000 payment in lieu of taxes, and we were going to address that this year, but I guess the sewer commissioners have been talking to the town accountant and maybe members of the Board of Selectmen that that's not going to be the case this year. I don't really know what the most current information is.
Yeah,
They do.
I haven't got any.
So I guess it's moot, and we don't need to discuss it then.
Jeff, was there any discussion in regards to?
There had been a discussion about moving debt service.
Oh, give him the microphone.
There was a discussion about having the sewer department take care of debt service for sewer debt that was set aside. That discussion stopped, and 3 weeks ago was set aside. I'm not sure what assumption the town accountant's making. We're going to hear from him on Wednesday and Thursday in a public meeting regarding a pilot from sewer. I know that we've made a request of the Light Department for a payment in lieu of taxes. They will be making a decision at their board meeting this week. They're a little different in that they're off budget, so I can't speak for the town accountant and assumptions in the budget, but I certainly think that the maintenance of level of effort of last year, $50,000, it is something that the town would certainly look favorably on, and the accountant may have made an assumption about. I just don't know whether he counts it in or out.
Jeff said we're gonna have an update with the budget, so maybe if you can make it,
By Thursday.
make it to that
My
meeting.
question is, do you have any idea, what they're planning for as far as the bond payments this year? Is it still the
The same.
75-25
Yes.
split?
Yes,
As far as I know, it hasn't
yes,
changed.
it has not changed. There'll be no change in that.
Thank you.
All right? Anyone else? Wait.
I do. Virginia, you being a registered nurse, you know the dynamics of chemistry. You know that hydrogen, your oxygen, you know that they are positive. So that's about all I'm gonna say. If you disturb that in the soil.
Yeah, we're moving.
I understand your concern.
I know that you understand. I don't think they understand, but I know that you understand.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're gonna move on. Julie?
Yeah, I would like to thank Ken Sonberg and Robert Dennis for coming and doing this presentation, because I think it brought a lot of useful information in front of people. What I find interesting is that the EPA is holding you to a really high standard as far as the lagoon closure goes, when, and I believe it was 93 of November, American Tissue Mills was bringing in acrylonitrile from Auburn, Maine, a known carcinogen, and basically was poisoning the town and profiting from that. But they would do nothing for that.
Thank you. Sue?
I just wanted to mention, you keep calling it a pilot or in lieu of taxes. It is technically neither one,
Oh,
Right.
that's a-
okay?
that's-
Guys?
gift.
Guys, okay? It's neither one. I'll talk about it later.
Okay. All right, moving on. We got action on Cumberland 250th committee appointments. Does Debbie or Jeff, do you know what the starting date would be and the finishing date for these appointments? Okay,
Finishing is June.
June 30th this year? And it's just ongoing till then?
Right, starting would be immediate.
He gave me yours too.
Immediately.
June.
They're presently on, but they technically weren't appointed.
Okay, so it is just from today to June 30th? Okay.
December. From today to December.
To December? To
That's
December?
what Kate said.
So December 31st,
Till
right?
December 12th.
Forward to December.
Sorry.
All right. I'll go down the list, and when anybody's ready, they make a motion to appoint these from immediately until 12/31/12. Okay, Harry Aldrich, Diane Danis, Beverly Bartholomew, Jared Blaze, Betty Baltel, John Brooks, Jim Brio, Julie Brown, Diane Haley Brooks, Carol Clark, Beverly Comey, Julie Crosby, Kim Judy, Diane Hamilton, Deborah Henshaw, David Hutala. What's these lines through some of these names?
Yes, don't
Skip
read them.
them?
We
Okay.
skip.
Janice LaFave, Mike Manka, Kathy Matson, Betty McCrillis, Kristen Murnia, Betty Morgan, Carol Stanley, Russ Stanley, Linda St. Laurent, Rayanne Triflo, Kevin Waite, Rosalie Weiss, Rawlene White, Glenn Whittle, Scott Whittle, and Jody Winters.
I move that we appoint the aforenamed people until December 12th. Is that what you said? December 12th.
31st, right? December 31st. Do I hear a second? Jeff, why don't we get the second?
Second.
Second. Okay, discussion, Peter.
Rosalie Weiss, I thought she's leaving town and going to Marlboro at the end of the month, end of the school term. That's why we're on April 12th for
This is a list that was submitted to us, Pete.
By who?
Huh?
By who?
The committee.
I can answer that one.
Okay, Beverly, thank you.
Pete, the 250th group has been trying to work with the grammar schools a little bit, planning educational things around our anniversary. So she had been going to the meetings, that's why they put her name on the list. Whether she stays, I doubt that once she's done in June, she'll be done. But it ain't gonna hurt nothing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
We have to vote on it.
Yeah, okay, motion been made, seconded, any further discussion? Hearing none. Pat?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
And yes. Okay, what we got here, next agenda item is discuss proposed governor's bill for ratification of special election. There's several different ways, I guess, you can ratify that special election that the town had. I'll just read the first paragraph here. A so-called governor's bill may be sought by a simple majority of the Board of Selectmen and does not require a town meeting vote authorizing the Board of Selectmen to seek special legislation. While a bill submitted by the governor must be approved by 2/3 of both houses of the general court, since such bills are generally of an emergency nature, they are typically acted upon swiftly. Please note, however, that the governor's legislative office will not endorse and therefore will not submit a bill that is controversial. It is essential that to the success of the bill, that sufficient political consensus be achieved at both the local and state level. Thus, it is best if a request to the governor for submission of special legislation is approved by unanimous vote of the Board of Selectmen and approved by the town, state, senator, and representative. While the current circumstances might appear controversial and that the election issue involved a recall of 2 selectmen, my understanding is that such persons have indicated that they will not challenge the results of the election on the basis of the posting issue. It is certainly clear that the voters and residents of the town were aware of the date, the time, and the place of the special election and the substance of that election despite technical non-compliance with the notice requirements found in law. Jeff, would you want to expand on that a little bit?
Only that there is an alternative method that, better speak into the mic. That there is an alternative method that the chairman referred to, which would also have the town meeting vote to ratify the election. And that would require then special legislation from the state legislature. The purpose of asking the board to move this way is that it's more expeditious and it closes the issue promptly. And if for any reason the governor or the state legislature chooses to not act in this way, it's my recommendation that the town use the belt and the suspenders, that it in fact also ask town meeting to ratify the election. We have already proposed, and you'll see it Thursday night, a town meeting article to do that. And that way, no matter which course of action ultimately is taken, the vote will be ratified. This is just a more expeditious way of achieving that. And if the governor does recommend legislation and the legislature does act promptly, then the town meeting vote would become moot.
Any of the board have any comments or questions? Who was first? Either Julie or Bob, I didn't notice. Okay, Julie?
As one of the members of the Board of Selectmen who was recalled, I voted for that. I was sitting where you were sitting, Virginia, and I voted to do this because my understanding was that it would go to town meeting for ratification. If it failed at town meeting, then there would be a vote by the Board of Selectmen to ask for the home rule petition.
So what, I'm not sure.
I believe it should go to town meeting to be asked for that to be ratified.
Like Jeff,
That's what I supported when I voted for it.
we still might have to do it, we're just trying to, like Jeff said, it more expeditiously can be done this way. Bob?
I also was involved, and it was my understanding that we were going to go to a special town meeting. My concern is now that you folks up there that have already gone forward with the building, fired the attorneys, I don't think you believe that you can get that through town meeting anymore, because half of those people that voted for you now are thinking they made a mistake. So I say we bring it to town meeting first.
Still might happen. What's the feeling of the board?
I have one question about home rule. Has the town ever voted to adopt a home rule charter or consideration? And if not, is it required to do that before you take any home rule action? And since this comes from an attorney, was that question asked when whoever asked about this letter and this process, did they ask that question? Because I don't remember this coming before the board unless maybe it was when I was absent from the meeting.
Jeff, did you?
Not to the best of my knowledge.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a lengthy discussion with the attorney, just.
Yes, Bob?
Yeah, I don't know why we don't put it at the town meeting floor, let the people speak, and you guys can still vote after. What's the rush?
But like I said, it's just a different option. There's just two options here. Yeah.
Just so that I understand and the people understand, well, I know, but the home rule is keeping the people in interest. Am I correct? Doing the best for the people in the town.
That's what they're up
That's at the very ending of the home rule, right? Okay. So if you're gonna go into privately,
It's just an option to, another option. Julie, and then Bob.
You read that letter, did it cite a Mass General law?
It does not.
It doesn't. Oh, what's the second page, Jeff? Yeah,
It's loaded with citations, that's the problem, trying to find the right one.
Okay.
Oh, and the letter to the governor there's.
You got it there? Is that it right here?
Yeah, I think so. Wait a minute. That's the laws that
That's
we missed.
required.
Yep.
I do have a citation for you, Julie. Want me to read it out?
Sure.
Article 2, Section 8, Paragraph 1.
Can you get a little closer to mine?
This legislation would be filed by the governor. It's called a governor's bill. It's not a home rule petition, it's a governor's bill. And the governor files it under Article 2, Section 8, Paragraph 1, Clause 2 of the amendments to the Constitution, the state constitution, as amended by Article, it's Roman numeral.
89.
89?
89.
And that would be the citation under which the governor would file a governor's bill.
I saw this Bob first and then, all right, Bob?
Well, I have two things I'd like to make a point is, what would the legal cost for filing this fee now with new attorneys, for number one? And number two, is it's not going to be easy because I've already written my letter to the governor with the ethics complaint and the open meeting law violation so that he will know there is controversy in this town regarding this election, and I will be asking him not to do this.
Okay, thank you. All right, what's the wishes of the board here? You want to keep,
Wait a minute, you asked him.
Oh, Bob.
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Bob?
I have a similar question. I mean, have you looked into the cost of doing this in comparison to just letting it go to town meeting first?
Well, we haven't decided if we're going to go this route yet. We haven't decided if we're going to go this
I
route.
didn't know if you guys looked into the cost of it. How much it would cost to go this route.
Yeah, Virginia?
Just so everybody knows, I didn't request this, Patrick didn't request this. Jeff found this for us, and we were grateful because we thought it would make it happen faster.
What is the governor's, what were you just reading? It's an amendment. Is it an amendment to the home rule?
No, it's, this legislation, this special legislation would be filed by the governor under a clause in the state constitution.
What
He
clause
has,
would that be?
I just cited it. Just read it.
Okay, you didn't read it, you cited it.
Right.
And what would that be? I'm sorry.
The governor's plenipotentiary powers, his powers to, on behalf of the citizens of the Commonwealth, sort out things like this for the good of the Commonwealth.
So you're going to ask our governor
Yeah,
of the state?
yeah.
That's the only one we got.
The only one we've got.
Wow.
Good, bad, or indifferent. He's the
Oh.
only one we got.
Okay.
Hey, like,
We can have that.
like Jeff just found that and he checked into it. And it's just an option here. Nobody requested it. He just brought it forward so we could have discussion here tonight.
Good job, Jeff.
Yes.
I just have one question that really puzzles me, and I don't know if it puzzles a lot of the other folks here, but we have an agenda here, and it seems like every question that's asked, you haven't got an answer for us. You know, it's like, we ask, you should be prepared to act, for the public to have an answer. I mean, you're putting something out there, and you have no clue of how much it's even gonna cost you. I mean, why would you put something on paper if you don't have, if you people don't understand or know the answers for us? Because we go out of here with our heads saying, oh my God, they don't even know what they're doing up there. I mean, I'm a taxpayer, I have a right to speak, and you people represent us, you should have the answers when we ask the question. If you're gonna put something on paper, please, give us an answer. That's all I'm asking.
Do you have the
That's
answer
not
to?
an unreasonable request.
I don't have an answer on how much legal expense, nominal legal expense. A couple of hours.
Be nominal, according to Jeff. Does anybody on the board have any feeling what they want to do? Do you want to move forward, or you want to just let it go to town meeting?
If they want to let it go to town meeting, just let it go to town meeting.
Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, it's not worth fighting over at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Jeff. Good thing it wasn't open.
Jeff, do you have any feeling?
Yeah, my feeling is it does need to get closed. Just, I would like to see this chapter closed. I just have reservations about going to governor's bill. It does speed it up and it does get it done and out of the way, but I've always tried to put my personal feelings aside and give the people their say. And if they wish for a town meeting vote to have their say, that's the way I feel it should go, and my vote would be no on the governor's bill.
So we'll pass over on this governor's bill and we'll put it to town meeting. I think we have a whole spot on the,
We do.
on the warrant for,
It's for that lady that that's that lady under new business.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's, the atmosphere of the town office.
Great. Immediately afterwards.
okay. Next item on the agenda, discuss and act on Viva Solutions proposal. I'm going to read a letter. Buddy?
Yep.
I am writing this letter because I feel that our this is from Viva Solutions to the superintendent. I am writing this letter because I feel our communication regarding Viva issues needs to be improved in order for the town to receive the maximum benefit from its flow devices. The Viva issues on Gavin Road over the past 6 months are a good example of why we should work closer together for a common goal of protecting Templeton roads. As per our agreement in 2011, Viva Solutions continued to perform routine maintenance on the flow devices we installed for the town. For culvert protective fences, this involves quarterly cleanings, and for flexible pond levelers, the pipes were inspected, monitored, and adjusted in the spring and as needed. Labor and materials for minor repairs were included at no additional cost. We trust you remain satisfied with the results of our work. We last spoke when I called you on 7/19/11 to inform you that beavers had broken through a corroded section of the culvert protective fence on Gavin Road. I informed you that I had just repaired the holes in the fence and cleaned out the partially blocked culvert. I requested that in case these repairs were insufficient, that you call me right away if anyone noticed that the beavers were getting in and damming the culvert again. I received a no follow-up call, and when I returned to the site on 10/11/11, my next routine inspection, everything remained good working order. The fence repair patches seemed to be working well. There was no beaver damming of the culvert. I returned to town for more routine maintenance visits on 12/7/11. That time I was surprised to see that the Gavin Road culvert had been very recently cleared of beaver damming materials with a backhoe, and the backhoe also destroyed a large section of fence. There was no evidence that the beavers had resumed damming the unprotected culvert. Therefore, it appeared as though the beavers were no longer there, possibly trapped. I did not receive a call about this problem either before or after you authorized the backhoe work to be done. Even though back in July I informed you of the potential for this problem and requested you call me if the problem reoccurred. If you had called me, I would have responded promptly. Therefore, I would like to know, are you willing to work with me to keep these flow devices functioning? I hope so, because clearly this culvert fence, which was installed in 2003, as well as many others, have saved your department and the town a great deal of time and money. Note, both the Gavin Road and Royalston Road culvert protective fences were due to be replaced due to corrosion this year anyway. For your convenience, I have included cost estimates to replace each device. If you would like me to replace the fences, I would be happy to schedule it for this spring before new beavers relocate here. However, you would prefer the highway department to take responsibility to repeatedly trap any beavers that appear unlocked and unblocked culverts, then that is fine too. No trapping is typically a short-term solution because new beavers will frequently relocate to good habitats such as this. In our experience, trapped areas get recolonized nearly every year. This will be the first year I have been able to obtain the fence mesh used by special order, which has been galvanized for corrosion protection. Therefore, I expect our new culvert protective fences to last even longer than 9 years your current ungalvanized fences lasted. It is my hope that Beaver Solutions can continue to provide the town of Templeton with the most cost-effective beaver management service possible. Improved communication between us would be a big help. I look forward to hearing from you at your earliest convenience. Note, I have also sent the Templeton Board of Selectmen a copy of this letter, since they have been hiring me for annual float device maintenance plans. Mike Callahan, owner of Beaver Solutions. And the solutions, in the proposal, Beaver Solutions for Gavin Road, remove worn-out culvert, protective fence, total labor materials, cost to remove severely corroded culvert fencing, price includes disposal of old fence, $200, reinstall new culvert, protective fence, total labor material cost, install new culvert, protective fence with galvanized fence. The price includes delivery, installation, and post-installation inspection. The downstream culvert protective fencing will also be replaced, $900. And then the Goodwill Beaver Solutions discount 30% of $270, total of $830. And the Royalson Road, the same descriptions, is $250, $1,050, and a discount, 30% discount, $315 for $985. So anyone on the board? Okay, Bud here? Yeah.
It sounds like it was time for them to be replaced anyway, is that?
Well, I just want to start out by saying that, I think you can hear me. Can you hear me all?
Oh, yeah.
All right. We've had very good luck with Beaver Solutions. They've actually corrected a lot of beaver problems in the town of Templeton. This particular spot's an isolated area where his fence failed, and we had to send our catch basin truck up there and drop it down into the water and clean it out because the road was ready to flood over, or it was flooded over. I don't recall. Mark handled the call. In the event of that day, because the beaver deterrent fence was 3 feet underwater, you couldn't see it. So our operator accidentally hooked it and pulled it out. By that point, it was a section of fence had to be replaced. I find his letter a little bit hasty, and I'll have a little talk with him because he works for us, we don't work for him, number one. He does usually monitor his fences and keeps them clean. However, in this particular instance, I think the beaver beat him there. So we had to take corrective action. Not only does it flood the road over, Gavin Road, but it also affects a private resident well. So we had to take corrective action quickly.
Now, the prices that he has in here, is it something that's built into your budget?
No, actually, it's built into the selectmen's budget on the pest control.
Okay.
So, he monitors it. A long time ago, I gave up taking care of beavers. However, he needs to come out, Mike needs to come out, he needs to monitor his fences. He was using material that has been rusting out because the water is corrosive. And so he needs to change his fences out as needed. We have, the highway department has been working very closely with Mike to end our beaver problems. And sometimes, even though he has his fences in there, I want you to know, sometimes the Board of Health does have to hire the trapper to come in and clean the colonies up, so.
Yeah, but I think he was just looking for a little bit of cooperation, as he says. Sounds like he's on call at, any time, so.
In the past, Mr. Chairman, we have talked back and forth. However, this was an isolated incident where the beavers came in, plugged it up, and we had to take immediate action. There was nothing Mike could have done there.
Okay.
So we had to do what we had to do to open up the water.
Thank you. Hey, anybody ready to make a motion to accept the two proposals here for Gavin Road and Route 68?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Budget question. There's not enough left in the pest control budget to pay both of these invoices.
How much is in there?
There's like 17.
Yeah.
1,700.
8 and 9 is 17. That's what it comes to, 17.
Comes to 18, actually.
About 18.
Well, I think we could probably,
We can do one this,
Yeah.
whatever one is the worst this year.
yeah, maybe we can talk to, advisory board and maybe make up the difference on the other one.
It's about 1,800 total.
Yeah, it's
so-
only going to be about $50 difference.
Right, 50 to
You
100.
can save some money by having the highway department take the fencing away,
It does say that in here.
that you can save some of this. Sorry, bud.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
It says you can save some money in these two by having someone else take the fence, the old fence away. This may be something you guys can do?
Do you want to
Sorry.
do it?
I'm not sure, I think, yeah, we have the equipment to rip it out. And we have a scrap.
It just says disposal. It doesn't say you have to take it out.
You know,
Yes, we have a,
Do you recommend that we stay with these people?
yes, I do. We've had very good luck with this.
All right.
I think we can come up with the $50. If anybody's ready for a
Well,
motion.
yeah, I think if we have Bud dispose of the old fence, we'll probably be under anyway. It's only over by 100.
All right, but if you could dispose of the fence, the fencing, Bud?
We're gonna,
Dispose of the fencing?
when he takes it.
If anybody has any-
I move that we opt to pay these two proposals for Beaver Solutions.
Okay.
One for $830 and one for $985, understanding that we only have $1,700 and we have to find the other, the rest of
And-
it somewhere.
And Bud will remove the fence,
I didn't
which
hear
will
a word.
save us money.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I just made a motion for us to accept these two proposals, and they said they're going to lower the price if Bud takes the fencing out. So I made a motion to accept these proposals.
What's the cost?
One of them is $830 and the other one is $985. So it comes to, yes, comes to, right around $1,800.
Okay, thank you.
1850.
Yeah, and is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Pat, seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none.
Could we get money back from the fencing? I mean, is that something
well-
that we can recycle?
No, it sounds
Yes.
like it's going to save us money if Bud goes and pulls it out.
I think he'll scrap it.
No, I mean, the fencing itself. See, I'm not really aware. Is that something that,
That's something Bud will have to do.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
What will you do with the fencing? Will you scrap it?
We scrapped it.
oh, okay.
So, so-
Okay. Make some money off it.
Yes, yes. I'm sorry.
What you do is great.
Yep. Okay. They only got one for 5 of us.
those are all for the
Those
TV.
for the TV.
This is the only one that's wired in here.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, Jeff?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
And yes. Okay. Action on annual report printing. What it says. We got 3 bids. The lowest bid from
Select print.
Select Print Solutions, the lowest bid of, what's that, $2,875, 1,000 copies, 250 pages, $11.50 per page. And there was 2 other higher bids from Staples and Gardner for $85.37, 10 cents. And the second lowest bidder from Athol Press for $3,021. So if anybody's ready to make a motion for the
Well, I
lowest
have a
bid.
question first.
Yep, go ahead.
Are we going to go with or without the color cover? Because it's a different price, what we're going to bid on.
Yeah, the price for the color cover is $31.75 as opposed to $28.75. So it's $300 difference.
I would think for the $600,000 budget shortage, we can do without the color cover this year.
That's fine. I'm just asking. It's $300.
What's it gonna be on?
Oh, we haven't voted that yet.
We have,
It's 500 with a color, isn't it?
The first one is 5, the one we're taking
The one we're doing,
one in the
okay.
middle.
Yeah, 300 next year.
If anybody's ready for a motion, whichever one.
I make a motion that we, can you people be quiet, please? Everybody says they can't hear. If you guys would be quiet, it might be easier. I'm gonna make a motion that we award this contract to Select Print Solutions, 1,000 copies without a color cover for $28.75.
Second.
Okay, motions are made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Pat?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
And yes. Okay, we did the next one. Action on 2 School Street boiler repairs.
I'll speak to it if you want to, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please.
Give him the mic.
2 School Street, the office of 4 town departments, pardon me, has had continuing boiler problems this year. There's been a number of service calls from People's Fuel who have the maintenance contract. They've done a lot of work on that system. It's primarily Zone 1, which is the first floor of the building. There don't seem to be any problems with Zones 2 or 3, which are the second floor zones. And it is air in the system. They've already put in a number of spiral valve vents. They have repiped the system. They've wedged radiators, bled the system, and I may ask Sue to comment, since she's the one on the first floor that's been frozen out all winter. But every other day, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, they come in and bleed the system of air. They brought in experts to look at it. They are totally stumped, except they are down to the very last feasible, possible problem with the system. And without going into gory details, though if there are any plumbers present, we can talk offline, they have a relatively expensive $1,488 proposal for us to repipe and vent the main supply line right off the boiler, which is the source of the problem. There is air hanging up in that main supply line, and the circulator on Zone 1 keeps burning out because it's trying to pump air rather than pumping water. They are as convinced as they can be about this thing, because they've literally done everything else to the system possible, that this is the solution to the problem. And we did not bid this other than to ask them for a quotation. It's well below $5,000, but certainly if you want to go in this direction, we could accept this bid, or we could also try and, do some collective bidding. Since we're at the end of the heating season, it's not urgent that we take care of it today, but it's the kind of problem that if we don't address it come fall, when we haven't addressed it, fire up the systems, the first floor is going to be freezing again.
And my first question is, I think we have money available in the building repair.
Yes, we do. We do have money available. Is money available to pay this proposal? Yes, there is money available.
Virginia?
Did they not, when we were talking to that guy that day, did they not say that if we didn't put a bigger circulator in, that it wouldn't matter what piping we had there?
No, I didn't understand him to say that it's not the circulator, because they've replaced the first circulator already, the circulator pump.
I understood him to say that we needed to have a bigger circulator.
Let me check. I didn't understand that to be the case, but it's not part of the proposal anyway.
Okay, this work's got to be done, so we're going to have heat down there, so if anybody's ready for a motion to...
Before we, go ahead, you do the motion.
We'll take the motion and get a second, then we can have discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we pay $1,488 for parts and labors to People's Fuel Incorporated to repair the boiler on 2 School Street in Baldwinville.
Okay, motion been made, do I hear a second?
I'll second it so we can have discussion.
Yeah, okay, second has been made, discussion?
I have one question.
Jeff,
Jeff,
Hold on.
yeah, I had Virginia, I
Okay,
didn't
I'm
see
sorry.
you.
All right, that's
I
right.
didn't.
No problem.
My question is, can we be sure that this $1,500, I mean, is he guaranteeing that this $1,500 is going to solve the problem? Because we've already spent another $1,500 on it before this. So do we have a bigger problem that we need to attack instead of just keep on putting 1,500 and more 1,500s and more 1,500s in it?